3D Disney Acrylic Nail Art Series, and this is going to be the Thumper Nail Art Tutorial. And here's the rest of the designs in this series. So I'm going to begin by creating an overlay with a sky blue acrylic, and I'm going to try and keep this very thin so that the nail overall doesn't get too thick or too heavy because we're doing so much 3D art on top of it. You don't need to keep this or make this part very thick. The rest of it will add some strength. The 3D art is going to definitely build up the nail. So now I'm going to be sculpting some of the gray areas of Thumper, and I'm going to be starting with his forehead. And I am so sorry that I'm a little bit off screen there. Sometimes when you're working on something, you're painting and you're doing it for a camera, all of a sudden you look at it and you realize you're no longer on, or you forgot to press record. You're so into it that you lose track of what you're doing. So leave a space below his forehead and fill in the rest of the tip with that same gray. And then add his ears. And pay attention to the shape of his ears. I would suggest looking at a picture of Thumper so that you can really see the shape of how his ears go, because they are not uniform from side to side. You can even look at the picture that I have at the end here to get it exactly how it needs to be, but yeah. So then with a beige color, I'm going to be sculpting his cheeks and adding some color where his eyes are. So I'm going to be filling in that gap I left before with a nice rounded sort of hot dog shape for his cheek and mouth and chin area. I'm going to leave a little divot for where his nose is going to be. So just with the tip of my brush, I'm going to poke it in right in the center. And then with really wet acrylic, so it's got a lot of monomer in it, I'm going to be highlighting the area around where his eyes go with that same beige color. I'm going to thicken the cheek so that there's a nice definition between where his eyes are and his cheeks, and he doesn't look so flat. And now I'm going to be adding some more gray acrylic to form the bridge of his nose. So I'm going to place a bead right in that little divot that I made with the point of my brush before, and I'm going to blend that up between the eyes. And I'm also going to be thickening up his forehead a little bit. This will add definition between his ears and his head and make him look just that much more realistic and dimensional. So now I'm going to be just touching up some more of this, and then I'm going to be adding the white of his snout. So add a bead of white right under that gray area that we added before. And then just push that out so it has nice rounded shapes. You want everything on Thumper and all these really nice characters to be round and smooth. If you're doing an evil character like Cruella, you want to add sharp lines and really harsh looking areas. But on a nice sweet character, you want to make sure everything looks round and smooth, and that's going to make them look cute and cuddly, which is kind of what we're going for here. And so don't forget to really define his cheeks with a line up the center, and his chin, which will be a little bit shallower. So now I'm going to be using white acrylic. I'm going to be adding his chest fur. And then with that gray that we used before, I'm going to be adding his arms. And so his arms are 3 angles, so it'll go pretty much down, and then a perpendicular line going straight across, and then his little paws are going to be angled down again, just like the original line. So it's 3 angles, or 3 lines, two angles. Anyways, you see. And then the other arm is going to be the opposite way, and his little paws are overlapping just a little bit so that, you know, he looks like he's crossing his arms over his chest. Okay, so sorry that this is out of focus, but we're going to be filling in underneath his arms with the same beige color we used for his cheeks and for his eye sockets. And once again, I'm so sorry it's out of focus, but you see what I'm doing anyways, even though it's a little bit blurry. So now I'm going to be adding some more white on his chest, and every step I'm doing, I'm looking as I go to see what needs to be adjusted, and yours might not need to have more white, or it might, you never know. So just work as you go and see what needs to be fixed and do it. So then I'm going to be adding some light pink for his nose and also in his ears. And I'm going to now switch to acrylic paint. And so I'm going to be painting his eyes with white. And now I'm going to be highlighting the white acrylic with some white paint. White acrylic isn't going to be nearly as bright as the paint is, so any areas that you want to show up and be nice and bright. So I'm going to highlight his cheeks and his chest, and I'm going to leave his chin the original color. And that's going to make everything show up a little bit better and have a little bit more of that definition I keep talking about. And on his chest, I'm not going to paint it solid. I'm going to use small strokes to create sort of a fur texture. So now I'm going to be adding a brown circle in each eye for the color. And then with watered down white, I'm going to be highlighting his face with just a little bit of paint. And this is going to, so when you get the watered down white, you're going to dip your brush, just the very tip of it, in some white paint, and then dip that in water. And then as you're painting with it, the two will mix together and it'll dilute the paint and create a wash. And as you're painting, if you're looking at it and you're thinking, oh, that's way too much, you can tap it off with your finger, and that will leave some of the paint as almost a residue, but it will take off any of the large amounts, and it will leave you with the effect you're going for. So now with a thin black line, I'm going to be adding some details. I'm going to be outlining his eye sockets and also his eyelids. Giving him pupils. A little definition more to show the details of his ears. Adding a little line for the crease of his elbow. Separate his toes. A couple little wrinkles on his nose. A white highlight in each eye, so just a very small dot. And over that sky blue background, I'm going to be adding a glossy top coat. And now I'm going to paint over Thumper himself with matte top coat. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this design. Please check out the rest of the tutorials in this series, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!